and is actually being enforced now. Now, with the defunding of the gangs of New York, let's say this in the first place. People look at the criminal acts of persons they've been calling police officers. They're really commercial mercenaries, so we need to call them who they really are. Murdering our people whenever they feel like it on the street, getting frustrated, and now they're talking about defunding the police departments, etc. The real deal is, and this is the fact, and it's unfortunate, it's really unfortunate, they should have never been funded in the first place. That's number one. Number two, they should not be on the streets with weapons, intimidating and murdering the people. That's number two. The sheriffs should be on the streets, and deputies should be on the streets. That's the truth. Those are the constitutionally sanctioned officers to do the jobs of keeping peace in the communities. But for the sake of disrupting the Constitution law and the treaty law and of the Moorish sovereigns who they overthrown, this is why none of these people, including these mayors and congressmen and council people and congressmen and senators, no one talks about the truth about treaties and constitution, or the truth of who the sheriff are and who are not to exercise that power. And so what you have actually operating at North America, that it has deduced to such a low denominator of justice that it's below the grade of injustice, and that these people are actually dangerous, but they always were to the people. The people are starting to discover that, and so they're talking about defunding them when they need to know that these people are not law officers. That's number one. The people should be working towards enforcing treaties and constitutions, coming into their proper person so that they can have right of claim to these things. This is the other deal. These things that have appeared to be disconnected are actually multifaceted connected. And that is the true status in full life of the people that had been removed, the misclassification of the people for the purposes of invoking feudal law, the fictional operations of deceiving the people into thinking that they can vote and that their votes are constitutional operations when they're actually not. They are actually corporate bond sanctions. They use the signatures and the claims of votes of the people, and particularly the people of the land, etc., as a sanction to create new bonds that they sell on the stock market to fund their operations. And that is absolutely the truth. The operations of the gangs of New York come down from the International Monetary Fund, which belongs to the Pope and the Jesuits. And then they force the people who are under occupation to pay a tithe, which is now called as a tax assessment, to also fund the gangs of New York, who are in turn to use to keep them under control by the council people, the de facto mayors and the de facto governors of the corporate states, de facto in relationship to the de jure treaties and constitutions. That is the operations. That is the truth. And the race paradigm is a political weapon that was constructed in 1735, does not have anything to do in truth with the genetic operations and processes and civilization of humanity on earth. The truth of humanity on earth is not told because they would have to give the land back to the people. Are there any questions?
Yeah, here's one. Jafar Bey says, is more or Moorish a nationality and ethnicity, or just a nationality?
The ethnicity is part of the race paradigm. That's number one in the question. So there are certain words or key words that are used to create the race paradigm to take you out of the nationality. Moor is simply a short for Moroccan. The Moroccan is modern for Moabite, etc. So the Canaanites, Moabites are Moors, etc. And when you make reference to the Phoenicians, Eritreans, Nubians, Sudanese, etc., all of your different Asiatic African tribes collectively on the world, the islands in the Pacific, etc., what you call Filipinos, etc., all these are Moors. Moors, Moros. The people that you're calling Puerto Ricans are really Moroccans. Moros, Moreno, etc. The Tainos, the Caribs, Caribbeans, etc., Phoenicians, Twa, etc., they are all Moors. Get this very, very clear. So Moor is really a pedigree. So it's not an ethnic group, it's a pedigree.
Moorish title
yes.
of nobility.
Yes. Yeah, it's really pedigree. Now the bays and the eels, days and owls are what are actually titles of nobility. They are actually titles to the land, etc. In relationship to the sovereigns of the land. One of the things that they had done to denationalize the Moors, as you can, as any of you who are listening can go in your ordinary dictionaries, etc. You can go in the ordinary dictionary and look up black, and the first thing you're going to see that black's an adjective, and it's derived from Middle English. Middle English is derived from Old High German. Middle English 1150, around 1150, 1500 in that area, 1150 to 1500. And it actually means pale spot. It actually means pale colors. It is derived from Old High German. It does not mean dark melanated skin. In your connotative linguistic formats of fad construction, today they're referring to the word black as an African pedigree, which it is not, never was. It's an adjective. Now, one of the things that you can find in your dictionary, and children can find, you can send children, well, many of the parents don't read, but if we can get some of the children who don't have an agenda to go in the dictionary and look at black, they'll see that black is an adjective, is not a noun, and it definitely is not a pedigree. Then you'll see connotative linguistic applications of it, and people who can't read will take the race paradigm set up by Carlos Linnaeus and promote it as an African pedigree, which it is absolutely not. And then you'll see just beneath it, you'll see a compound word, black or Moor. Then they'll put it as a noun, and then they'll take the adjective and separate it from Moor. And then later, they separate the Moor altogether and just call the people black. When Moor is the pedigree, black is an adjective, etc. And actually, when the people are promoting Black Lives Matter, what they're saying is that pale spots matter because they can't read, and it's not a condemnation. It's a shameful thing because scholars know this. And many people who play into the Gates Foundation operations under George Soros don't know that the Black Lives Matter paradigm is actually to promote the race paradigm and also to promote what they have deemed for themselves race wars, which it is a weaponized system actually for degenerating, gentrifying, and disengaging the actual people from the land. They think that these people are working in their behalf. They're actually operating genocide against themselves because they can't read. They don't know that these people are actually genociding them, and they think that black means African pedigree, when actually is to denationalize them and actually take them off of the capacity of airship. they think this stuff is positive. It's actually absolutely negative. The other deal of it is that people who know don't want to go into it because most of them are compromised with 501c3 agreements and other corporate agreements, and also with their jobs. And so they also have many hybrid Europeans, who are now trying to tell these people that they're morals. And just like Trump said not long ago, the black people in North America need to really do some research and study their real history, because they don't really know the real history. Now, it's not his job to tell you. So we're telling you now. And also, Obama dropped a few keys on the people that undoubtedly told them who they are. But, people have agendas. Many of our people have been compromised, and so they don't want to go into this area because they have, in the name of Afrocentricity, written a lot of black books. They organize a lot of quote unquote black groups and been funded by the corporations that are really behind the operations of genociding them in the first place. So there's so much corruption and compromission that inspired me actually to bring this up as a subject matter, because the people really just do not know that the Fraternal Order of Police is actually, their origin is actually the notorious gangs of Europe brought here to actually continue the doctrine of discovery, raping our people and stealing the land. And it's just that New York, being a port or trading port, was just simply a prime area. And so the exercises or the initiation of much of the genocide and gentrification took place there. And so they to divert the people from what's really going on, as we said earlier, they'll talk about the poverty of the different hybrid European groups competing for jobs, and it's being a poor area, and the 5 Point Streets and the gangs, and they're fighting for jobs and positions, etc., to divert you from the fact that they were organized gangs to continue the doctrine of discovery under the Spanish Inquisition. Nobody's going there. Well, we are, because it's your estate, and the problems that you're having right now. And it's sort of like a lot of people talking about defunding. So you know why they want to defund? Two reasons. One is that the U.S. corporation is bankrupt in the first place, and they can't fund all of those pensions and stuff that they have promised all of these gangs of New York. Really, really, really. Nations of the earth are buying U.S. Treasury bonds that they set up in 1868 after they closed the Freedmen's Bureau for these very same people that they talk about matters. But when they talk about Black Lives Matters, what they're talking about is dead status matters to the bond system. That's what they're talking about. But people can't read through it. They're thinking that it means identity. No. Why do you think you have hybrid Europeans looking like they're going to help our people, the same way a lot of them people calling those fake Jews doing the civil rights marches, encouraging our people with the civil rights, you understand, marching on, they were putting them in a hole. They were helping to rebury you. The Black Lives Matter paradigm is part of the Margaret Sanger and Gates Foundation operations for genociding our people. It ain't there to help you. And you're not black. The black is a tag that's put on you to take you out of treaty and constitutional platforms and heritability. But nobody's telling you that part, is it? You think they're helping you. They're not helping you. They're helping to kill you and then helping you to pay for it. They're taxing you to fund the mercenary operations that you've been calling police officers to actually kill you and to destabilize your communities. Now, that's the truth. And a lot of people who are members of that order know it and know that history of the gangs of New York, but they will not talk it because they don't want you to start examining. Because once you start examining and see who they really are, now here we have a problem. How are you going to protect your neighborhoods? Oh, keep in mind, they took your guns in violation of treaties and Constitution, which you have a divine right of self-defense. And so this is why you see them always talking about removing the people's rights to bear arms when they took an oath on that Constitution not to even interfere, not even to be questioned. Why? So they could carry out the doctrine of discovery and then enforce it locally through a military operations of the gangs of New York disguised as fake sheriffs called the Fraternal Order Police. So the people are looking, oh, that's legitimate. There is no constitutional foundation for their existence whatsoever. They should have never been funded in the first place. And the sheriffs, the sheriffs, should have never been murdered off. They ain't been telling you that. They've been murdering off the sheriffs. Now you have a few sheriffs, they call them sheriffs now, around the country. They know that their numbers are weak, but if you start paying attention to a lot of the statements of some of the sheriffs around the country, you'll see them talking constitutional principles because they are the real officers. They should be funded, and the Fraternal Order of Police, who are the gangs of New York, should have never been funded in the first place. Less more defunding, but the deal of it is they're using it as a ploy to create more chaos so that people can beg for them to come in. And guess who they're going to bring in? United Nations, which belongs to the Rockefellers. And what they're going to do is really steal all the people's rights in the name of, tell me, let's look at the record. What Asiatic or African nation that the United Nations entered into as peacekeepers that ever came out with the people being sovereign or controlling their resources anymore? You've been having wars, overthrown governments, poisoned water, theft of the resources, suppression of women, birth control with AIDS in it, and a whole bunch of other stuff, and Ebola, and COVID-19, and then a promise of we're going to give you some vaccines, and then your children got Down syndrome, mercury in their bodies, etc., and you keep on believing that these people have your interest in heart. They're not your friends, they are your enemies. Get over it. It's the truth. It's an uncomfortable truth, yes. Horrible truth, yes. Unfair, extremely. Seriously corrupt, unmeasurably corrupt, yes. How many generations it takes for you to recognize that they don't like you? How many generations does it take you to recognize that these people are not Americans? How many generations is it going to take you, and how many generations are you going to sacrifice funding your own genocide? The subject matter is to get you to start thinking, but also to get you to start acting and start looking towards remedies. And remedies is not complaining. Remedies is not protesting. Remedies is not marching. Remedies is enforcing the Constitution and the treaties and international law and the restoration of republic order of government and removal from offices of all of these de facto persons claiming to be Americans who are not, and start talking about getting these people off your land, and for you to start reclaiming your land and reclaiming your estates and disconnecting yourself from them at every opportunity and every move. They have proven to you over and over again that they're not worthy to govern anything, that they're not honorable enough to even administer justice to a colony of roaches, less more a colony of people. They're proven to be extremely corrupt in the monetary system, so let's not even talking about their banking systems. Let's not even go to whether or not Woodrow Wilson sold out to the Jesuits with the so-called Federal Reserve, with the Jesuit orders and members of the Black Sun, etc., who've been raping you ever since, which is why you're poor now. etc., and you're looking to vote some of these people back into office to continue to do what they've been doing, it's really interesting. And then most of the time in Asiatic communities, they call policemen when some family member is acting out of order because they drank too much or something like that. 9 times out of 10, you're making a dangerous proposition because they're usually coming there with an operation with an excuse to kill them. They're mercenaries. Get over it. Now, we have a lot of work to do. Yes, we do. We have a lot of organization, serious organizing to do. Yes, we do. But we've been putting all of our energy into belief systems, putting all our funding into belief systems, and none into civic organizations that actually deal with the problems of the community. And so the people have been, for the most part, severely handicapped, incompetent to manage their affairs, and then designated unfairly and unjustly as wards of the state. And then here comes the mercenaries again to control your communities. And what do? They kill off the numbers of you every year, mostly unarmed people, to keep you in check and under the doctrine of discovery while pretending to be law officers. And then get you and your paid off leader guys to start marching around the place like fools on your own land, don't even know you're on your own land, and then start talking about race, which is an operation of Carlos Linnaeus, 1735, a war machine paradigm for instituting hybrid European hegemony operations known commonly in the modern world as white supremacy. And you're still playing the game, and you're letting them control the narrative. It's a pity. It really is. And what I've just told you, you can do the research and see this stuff yourself. But people, they'll say, a lot of people say, oh, well, what is your opinion on race and stuff? If you're going to talk about race and you're not going to talk about Carlos Linnaeus, you're not talking about race. So whenever these people bring up this issue of Black Lives Matter and race game and etc., how come they never bring up Carlos Linnaeus and then tell you where this all stuff began? And that it's a weaponized social control tool. It's a weapon. It has nothing to do with the real genealogy of the human family. You want the genealogy of the human family, you better go to Asiatic Africans, not to the hybrid Europeans, better known as modern man. Duh.
This is a comment, not a question, I think.
Yeah.
Black Protestant says the original KKK has nothing to do with the Jesuits.
Kaiklos, KKK, Kaiklos is the official name for Kaiklos, which you know is the Ku Klux Klan, and you can do the research. They are the grand protectors of the Christian creed, of Niceno-Constantinopolitan creed operations, i.e. Constantine. Get over it. And if you say that has nothing to do with them, you can. The history don't prove it.
It goes way back.
It goes way back, and they've been kicking your asses for generations.
Here's a question.
It's amazing how people view things because of this misinformation. Sure.
Jonathan R. Williams, since the cops are defunded, will it affect the stock market?
Duh. The stock market has been funding them. Now, let's look them up. How many people do they know that the Fraternal Order of Police has stock, and that they are a for-profit religious organization? Yes, they are. And they'll say non-profit. They're for profit. How often do they unlawfully and unconstitutionally stop someone on the street that happen to have tinted windows on what they think is their car, and give them a foreign bill of exchange in violation of international law, commonly known as a ticket, to arbitrarily pay a predetermined fee to another body that are claiming to be a judge, etc., under the auspices of the state of corporation, which is another for-profit foreign corporation. And the people haven't figured out yet that these people are organized criminals, and they don't even know that the tickets that they give people on the street are actually unconstitutional in their foreign bills of exchange. I would suggest for those of you who do some reading and those of you who know law, look up foreign bill of exchange and the processes that take place, and then you determine whether they're lawful instruments or not. And this, I would suggest, take place, and then you determine whether they're lawful instruments or not. And this is why people who know law beat tickets, because they know that they're unlawful in the first place. People who don't know better don't know that they're being robbed by a mercenary gang known as Fraternal Order Police, who are really members of the gangs of New York, who are under contract to enforce the doctrine of discovery for the popes of Rome.
Period.